I want to make another follow-up musing on my diagram, my 7 frequencies diagram that I posted today to as an illustration of where you can like, remember when you go into a state park and they have those signs with a map and it says you are here. Well, that diagram, I posted it to help you pinpoint where on the map you potentially are. It's the map of consciousness, right? So the 8th dimension is the all, is the singularity, is the one, is the monad, right? And how do I say this? I have had somebody comment that they thought of themselves to be in all 7 frequencies, with the exception of, and here's how they said it, I am not the totality that we think of as God. Okay. I am meaning to ask this person to contemplate why they place this limitation, why they put this boundary in between the all and the 7 other frequencies that they believe themselves to be in as. But with the exception of being the all, being the singularity. I have an answer, and I'm not going to give that person the answer. I want them to inquire within themselves. I want them to inquire for the reason in their mental space, and then I would like them to inquire of their soul and see where this limitation, this boundary, is rooted. The reason why this question is important, I'm going to try and explain it, is that within the diagram, within the 7 frequencies that I have mapped out, within each one of that, you are going to experience your human ego, or the little I. The I within the I, or in Aramaic, Enana. The I within the I is present in all 7 dimensions or 7 frequencies on this frequency ladder. The only place where the little I disappears is in the 8th frequency, and that is the singularity, the all. That is the frequency where this person that I mentioned here a moment ago stopped and did not step into, right? They said, I am not the big God, if I can use that phrase. I am not the big God. Now, why would this person make this boundary? Here's my mirror. Can I hold up the mirror for you to look into? The reason why you are making a boundary right there and keep yourself distinct from the big God, from the all, the singularity, the monad, is because your ego is afraid to lose itself. The little I does not want to be swallowed up by the consciousness of the big I, the big self. Okay, that's the only reason why your mind, which is the residence of your ego, is drawing a line in the sand, is making an exception. It cannot go there except that it will surrender and dissolve into the big God, right? The ego did not have any problem identifying with the 7 frequencies or the 7 dimensions. It considered itself part of all of that except for the big God. And that is the illusion that ego creates. It can look so spiritual, it can look so enlightened. But unless the little I diminishes, I'm talking at that level now, okay? I realize you need your little I to be human and to distinguish and individualize yourself for this life. But to live from the frequency of the All God, the big G God, your little I, your individualized I needs to be dissolved. And your little I cannot claim to be the big G, because that would just be a massive ego. Right? The little I dissolves when it enters into the big I, the big God consciousness. And here's the mirror. How can you tell whether you are still operating from a human or a spiritual ego? Here's the answer. Here's the sign. Anytime you feel a resistance, anytime you feel an objection to something that you're seeing with these 2 eyes, you are acting, operating from your little I, your ego self. Because to be in the consciousness of the big G, the big God, to be the consciousness of the big G God will flatten your sine wave, okay? It'll flatten that to 0 point. It will flatten that to neutrality. Because in the big G consciousness, the little I no longer exists. The little I can only exist in individuation, in objection, in resistance, to be different, right? And so when you feel resistance to another mirror, when you feel objection to another mirror, you are in your little ego I. That's a simple rule that you can follow. Now, like I said, it's okay to be in this little I, even in your enlightenment journey. You're going to have your little I accompany you all the way to the 7th frequency or 7th dimension. But to enter into the 8th dimension, the big G God dimension, you will have gained so much self-awareness and clarity that your little I has dissolved, has surrendered to your big G frequency. Okay? And the only way that conflict will be dissolved is when people experience the big G 8th dimensional consciousness. which is a conflict-free, tension-free zone. Because in the big G, in the 8th frequency, you no longer have something personal, individualized to defend. Anytime you have to defend a personalized individual preference, that's the little I, the ego. The big I doesn't care, is not moved by personal preferences, doesn't have personal preferences. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. Just as a, like I said, I'm just serving as a mirror to have you look in the mirror and see what reflection you might see. The reason why you will object of being the totality we call God is because of the little I. The little I does not want to die.